Hey everyone, Jay here.
Sean here.
And today we've got a 3-for-1 deal for you. So yes, 3 movies for the price of 1. Well, 3 movie reviews. 3 Netflix movie reviews. So in fact, they're 3 for the price of none, if you've already paid.
3 for the price of Netflix.
So where should we start, Sean?
I don't know.
Okay, well, how about we'll start with the one I liked.
Which one? Did we like any of them?
Well, I thought Sergio was not bad.
It was the best of the bunch. I'll agree with that.
Okay, it was the best of the bunch. It is about a real person. Sergio is a real person.
Yeah, Sergio de Mello.
Yes, so he was a UN representative. And we meet him on his worst day of the job. The worst day he's ever had on the job.
Worst day most people will ever have.
Because there is an explosion. So he has an office set up in Baghdad.
In Iraq.
And so there's an explosion right at his building, and he is now caught in the rubble. He is injured and can't get out. So that's sort of the mechanism we use to rewind and know a little bit more about the man and his principles and the other work that he did for the UN. Because he was a pretty high up guy, possibly in line to have replaced Kofi Annan, people believe.
He's the Secretary General, the head of the UN.
The head of the UN.
So that's a big deal.
It is.
And so he's parachuted into these conflict zones to try and negotiate some kind of resolution between the parties that are fighting.
Mm-hmm. So he had done that previously in East Timor, helped, set up democracy. I don't know if we could call it that, but an election anyways.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what he does. He goes in during really hard times and, he seemed like a principled guy who believed in representing the people.
Yeah, and self-government,
yes.
Self-determination.
Mm-hmm.
So his goal, unlike most of the people that he's talking with, mm-hmm. he doesn't want to stay there and rule the place.
Right.
He wants to stop the fighting and get out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But while he's in East Timor, he meets a lady. Played by Bond girl Ana de Armas and Ben Affleck's quarantine buddy, Ana de Armas, who you have recently seen in Knives Out as the one. So they meet and fall in love, and it's a little complicated because he moves around a lot for work. And then when it gets time to leave and possibly head for Iraq, they're both struggling with that because they don't really believe in this war. But he gets sent, and he does believe in doing the best that he can, which in this case does put him at odds with the Americans. And he, makes it very clear that he is going to, differentiate the UN from the US and their interests. And the first thing he does is eliminate the security detail because he wants the Iraqi people to be able to have access to him, to come in and talk about what they want and what they expect and what is feasible and what's important. He was kind of that kind of walk around guy. And ultimately what it meant was that
Make a bomb.
Yeah, a terrorist drove a truck right up to his office window. Yeah, so it's a very interesting movie. It's not consistent. I think it's not consistently good. I think it was trying to be too many things, so we don't really get to know him as much as you'd think. And I don't know if it's because it's trying to put too much politics in, or if it concentrated too much on the love story. But I think they wanted to, hit it home that he is trying to have a life despite the fact that he's always traveling to not really nice places sometimes.
Yeah, it's overbaked. Mm-hmm. I think they tried to put too much in here. Mm-hmm. It would have been better not to have the romance. Because I think the most interesting thing is this guy who I didn't know about and the life that he had.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that about covers it for Sergio. I think the performances are good. The movie is a little less good.
In comparison, though, I mean, I think I am being sort of unfair to the movie in that if you're looking for something to watch on Netflix, this is a decent choice. This is a reasonable movie.
Okay, a reasonable movie.
Yeah.
Throw it on the poster.
Yeah.
What a pull quote from Sean over here. Okay, so what's the next movie?
The next movie is Rising High.
Rising High. That was a trick question to Sean because he kept calling this movie
Raising Hell.
Raising Hell.
I don't know.
And I thought they probably should have raised a little more hell because it is a movie that is about con men. And you know, the thing about con men, because I mean, it's the same story over and over. Usually why we like to tell these stories is because for a con man to be successful, he has to be charming. Except these people were not charming.
No.
This movie was not charming.
No.
You know, sometimes I struggle with these movies. For example, Wolf of Wall Street. Because, you know, they're paying a criminal a lot of money for the privilege of recounting and glamorizing his life and reinforcing those values, which I don't really agree with. But in comparison, Wolf of Wall Street is like, I mean, yeah, watch that one instead.
Well, it's entertaining.
It's entertaining. I mean, that's what it does well. I mean, you know, I don't agree with it morally, and I'm not really sure that Hollywood should be paying these people. But, I mean, it justifies itself. This, you know, this is made into a very compelling story. Whereas Rising High
It's so boring.
is so boring. And I mean, we don't really get to know the characters, so we don't care about them. What we do know about them, we don't like about them.
No.
So you don't really feel sorry for them. So there's no one to root for in this because you don't know their victims or, you know, none of that is really even touched upon. There is no big moral to this story.
No, there's not.
So it just kind of feels like, meh, some stuff happened and like, I mean, it hits all the tropes, like, oh, we did the drugs and the parties and the cars and like, okay. I mean, and this movie doesn't do it as well as other movies. I mean,
No,
my favorite con man movie is, of course, Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Leo apparently has
maybe if Leo
the
had
mark
been in
of
this. Yeah.
a crook. But this one, yeah, I didn't believe it. I didn't care. It was not entertaining or fun at all. It really just felt lifeless.
Yep.
So.
And it's German too, so that doesn't help because it's subtitled. But I wonder if there is something there about the German persona.
Okay.
Of like, maybe this is Germans being wild. Maybe this is as wild as it gets.
Maybe
it just does not measure up to crazy American
the
stories.
indulgent Americans that we're used to. We are not American. We are wonderful Canadians who never con anyone.
That's right. You can't. There are no con men in Canada.
There aren't.
We can't tell lies.
It's true. It's all the syrup. So we're not recommending that one. Oh, and again, talk about Netflix just not giving anything fun to watch. Nothing lighthearted, nothing like Sergio. It's like, oh, did you want to go into Iraq and like
be trapped in a bombed out building and reminisce about your last days?
Yes, as the guy beside you gets his legs amputated.
Yeah.
With no medication.
Yeah.
It's fun. So the last movie. And it's probably last on our list too.
It probably is. It's Once Upon a Time in London, which is, even worse than Rising High. Somehow.
I mean, it was boring. And it's set in the 1930s, I think, thereabouts.
Yeah, I think
it's like, sorry, go ahead.
Over a period of time,
right,
though, like we see these two
not quite the
rival
Irishman,
gangsters over, it's got to be at least 20 years as they rise and compete and
two rival mobsters, and you know, one of them really doesn't want to let go of his territory, and I mean, who would really? But the other one is really horning in there, even though he used to be the protege. So, but I mean, is this movie asking us to feel sorry for this guy? Because it's real hard to feel sorry for him.
They're both.
I mean, there was really.
They're not compelling. They're not interesting.
True. They're not characters. I mean, again, I guess this is why we tell American stories.
I guess. I mean, Guy Ritchie does a lot better than this because he kind of sends it up and these characters are ridiculous. And this has a crutch in that it's based on real people. But you could still make them more interesting than... I mean, they had to be more interesting.
Then don't make the movie. Yeah. That's the thing. In the end, we actually get introduced to the Cray twins, who Tom Hardy had another movie.
In Legend.
He played both of them. And that's not a super great movie. It's miles better than this one.
Yeah.
I think British mobsters are just boring.
I think that might be.
I think that might be the thing.
Anyway, this movie is super boring.
Are joyless, and the British just can't do that kind of crime.
No.
They're just not good at it.
No, they need more white-collar crime movies in Britain about...
But you're right. Why is Guy Ritchie so much better at it? I mean, he does a lot of like the underbelly, the sort of like the little guy. But we just watched The Gentleman, and those were not the little guys. Those were the pretty big guys, and they were fun as hell.
But they are fun.
Yeah.
He makes it fun. And it's something, if you haven't appreciated a Guy Ritchie movie in a while, because he's been up and down. If you watch Once Upon a Time in London, you're going to be glad to flip back to Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, or The Gentleman, which is good.
I enjoyed that one. I thought it was fun. I loved the characters. But they're having fun in the life. And the thing is, like, I don't know if it was partially the setting, but, like, it's wartime. Like, they are not having fun. They're not enjoying their excess. There was really nothing like that.
No.
It was basically just, like, boring punch. Boring fist fight. Like, there was a lot of fist fighting.
And they had a lot of long songs over
like montages.
Action. Like someone was getting beat up, or I don't know. Most of them were getting beat up. Yeah,
in not very inventive ways. It was like punching and stabbing, and that's all they've ever heard of. They don't have any wild fun. There's no Quentin Tarantino excess. No. It's just very like restrained, get the job done, punch to an old-timey radio advert. Yeah. Maybe. I don't even know.
But it'll be 3 minutes of that.
Oh, God.
And that happens several times in the movie. Yeah. Where there's no dialogue. There's just some song you don't care to hear.
Oh, it was bad.
Yeah, it was.
It was bad, and it felt long. It was boring. And I remember that one courtroom pause.
Oh,
because a woman is on the witness stand, and they're asking her to identify the baddies. And nobody ever does identify them. Even the enemies won't identify each other. And she's wondering whether she will. On the stand, though. She didn't think about this beforehand.
And we get to wonder with her in silence as she just kind of sits there.
There's so much thinking. Like, they just show people lost in thought for minutes. Yeah. Like, minute-long stretches. It's just...
So it's bold choices, but it does not make for a good movie.
Boldly
wrong choices.
Bad decisions, yeah. So that's
Netflix. That's what
Netflix has not been solid this week. Those are all 3 new movies this week, and we're just not feeling it, guys.
Maybe next week.
Well, what have you been enjoying on Netflix?
The Michael Jordan documentary. Go see it. There's 2 episodes, unless you live in the US, which is on ESPN, so you can see them there. But if you're outside of the US, the Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, there are 2 episodes. It's awesome. If you have any interest whatsoever in basketball, watch it.
Or if you're married to someone.
Or if you're married, watch it with them and listen to them talk about how awesome Michael Jordan is.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's like 2 documentaries at once.
I thought it was exciting. I thought my commentary was really adding a lot to it, yes.
Anyways.
Anyway, watch that. Don't bother with these
Any of
movies
those
if
movies,
you have better things to do.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.